Hey stock strategists, crypto connoisseurs, and technical traders, it's Tim, Stock Picks by Tim here, and I'm back at you again to talk about some high risk, high reward stocks. So if you don't have a risk appetite, this video might not be for you, but let's get into this. Now in this video, I want to talk about my high risk but high reward stocks. These are all small caps. They are definitely going to be risky, and they are money burning companies. So there's definitely risk to be had. I can't reiterate that enough. I'm going to get into Bngo today, bionano genomics. Then I'm going to touch on Workhorse, talk about aqst or aquestive, and also Sphere 3D or any, which is merging with Gryphon Digital. Now, as you can see with at least bionano, and this is the thing with all of these, they have been on a huge downtrend, although they are finally trying to recover. Now, first off, before we go over the charts, I just wanted to read this. I'm going to quote this because I think it's worth hearing. So, in the case of bionano, I see a company with growing revenue, a product that is gaining adoption. Still, this is a small company, and Bngo stock has been a falling knife for over a year, so there's a lot of bag holders likely. Some people sure have cut their losses, but there's still a lot of people that are holding their bag that might be waiting for this to kind of uptrend a little bit to sell out, and that is going to bring some selling pressure, so be aware of that. But this is not for investors with a low risk tolerance. As this person wrote above, if you can buy crypto, then you shouldn't be afraid to take a long position with a company on the leading edge of a genomic trend. So this basically tells you, if you're willing to risk putting your money into cryptos, you should have the risk appetite for something like bionano genomics. Now looking at the chart here, you'll see we are in a nice uptrend now, and we've got a lot of volume kicking in. We've got a lot of buying volume kicking in. I mean, this is the overall market, the overall small caps are kind of rallying, so of course, a lot of these will do the same thing that the market does, but this is a great sign to see bionano finally turning around, it seems. And this is the best move back towards the upside that we've had since we were a falling knife. I mean, if you look at this, there is no time period. You could argue maybe right here we kind of went on a nice little uptrend. You could say this was kind of a bit of an uptrend here until we broke it. You see how at that trend line we broke it and we continued down. People are watching this. Now, it's not just a coincidence that right when we broke this trend line, we moved considerably down. So keep an eye on this. If we break this trend line, might, do the same thing. But I'm feeling very confident in bionano at this price. I am extremely confident with this at around $600 million market cap. And while this is still under $1 billion market cap, I think it's worthy of slowly averaging in. If you want to take your time and slowly build out a position, that's a great thing to do. Potentially just add in while it's under $1 billion market cap. This not long ago was at about $16. I'd say that was probably roughly at about a $2 billion market cap. And since then, it's just been trending down, just like the overall small cap market. So don't sleep on bionano genomics. And also real quick, I'll leave you guys a link in the description. If you want to watch their earnings call, I do go over it. Just the key points, give you a cut up version of their earnings. So check that out if you're curious. All right, now next up, we're going to get into Workhorse here. And looking at Workhorse, it's kind of a similar story. We've got this nice little uptrend. Although today we are having a red day. We have been really green in the market. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday last week as of this upload was just a huge run, and I felt like it was kind of expected to have a little bit of a red day, although it's actually pretty mixed. We've got some stocks up as much as 5% or so in terms of small caps. And then, we've got some like Bngo, Workhorse, Sphere 3D, just kind of, 2% down, jumping around. So when you watch this, they might be obviously in a different area. But I'm very confident in Workhorse as well. It is very risky, just like bionano genomics, but it offers great reward potential. And here's something for you to kind of ponder. Think about this, okay? If everyone thinks a company's going to fail and it turns around and succeeds, that's going to be a huge turnaround, a huge upside. And, because failures, I wouldn't say failures necessarily priced in, but there's a lot of fear in this, okay? Compared to, say, something like Tesla. I'm not trying to compare Workhorse to Tesla, but everyone thinks Tesla's going to succeed, okay? You've got a sky-high PE ratio. You have, it's definitely overvalued by traditional metrics. But when you think about the growth, and you think about every time the new earnings comes out and it cuts that PE ratio from 300 to, say, 150, that's something to think about. They're still a huge growth company. But when you think about this, okay, people already have that upside with Tesla, that growth kind of priced in. You could argue to some extent, not, I would say that Tesla is definitely going to come up over the coming years, but a lot of that growth is already priced in, I would say. Now, when you look at Workhorse, I'd say a lot of failure is already priced in with this one. So when you think about just if this company is able to turn around, you see that partnership that they just made and progress there, vehicles being rolling out, start making some sales. one day turn around to profitability, maybe 2024 or something like that. And you know, from this where it's at, to see this move to the multiple billions, you're talking about a potential 10x. You know, are we going to see Tesla 10x anytime soon? I don't think so. That being said, you know, one day Tesla could double, of course, but I see more upside in this, but just be aware there is considerably more risk in something like Workhorse than Tesla. But when you think about the growth potential, you know, when failure's already priced in, there's just that much more of a percentage gain to the upside if the market is wrong. But you are arguing that basically the market is wrong and you are right. That's just something to kind of ponder and think about. You know, when you have these companies that are so beaten down and failure is somewhat priced in, there's a lot of potential move to the upside if the market is wrong. But that's Workhorse. We have been on a nice little uptrend and we are slowly coming down. Now keep an eye on this. If we come down and try to pop, this would form a perfect head and shoulders, or an okay head and shoulders, and this would, you know, probably fall around here. Now I do have a fully built out position, so I haven't really been adding too much lately, just kind of slowly averaging through. I'm pretty built out though, so I'm kind of leaving it alone, letting it do its thing, and we will see what kind of run it makes moving forwards. Alright, now next up is Sphere 3D, or any Gryphon Digital. Now this one is merging with Gryphon Digital, still expected, although, you know, you go to any of the comments and you just got retail investors just giving them shit. Excuse my language, but retail investors are just, you know, complaining, where's the merger? You know, you guys are talking about stuff like this, talking about, that's something random, talking about these kinds of things, and all the comments are just like, when's the merger? Come on, like, give us some information. And they can't really say anything about the merger. They have to wait, okay, because they can't try to manipulate their stock with something that's potentially on the horizon. They can't use that to their advantage necessarily. You know, there's a lot of regulation in terms of that, and they don't want to get in trouble. So just be aware that the merger is still expected. They are still waiting, but this is one thing you have to think about. Sphere 3D's earnings is right around the corner. After March, we're coming into April, and mid-April is estimated to be their earnings. It can move around a little bit, but right around, you know, the 14th, right around that week is likely where their earnings is going to be. So when their earnings comes out, there will be a mention on the merger, and if the merger hasn't happened, very likely by then it still hasn't. It's only less than a month away here. That's going to cause a bit of a sell-off continued, I would expect. I would personally expect a small sell-off after this earnings date. So keep an eye on their earnings moving forwards. Once it comes out and they mention that they are still waiting for the merger and it has not happened this quarter, there's going to be probably a little bit of pessimism, a little bit of a sell-off, and that will be a great time to add in to Sphere 3D. Now you could of course dollar cost average through. It's still very, very beaten down from its roughly $6-7 top. We're sitting like under $2 still, but I see I am gonna just kind of wait. I have a pretty fully built out position, and so I'm kind of being patient with it and just taking an opportunity if it comes to add more, but we will see what happens there. All right, now looking at Sphere 3D, keep watch on this one and make sure that we hold this level here, this support right here. We want to hold this area for somewhat of a support. We've kind of bounced off it. We broke it, but it was very quick to recover both times. So just watch this one, okay? And if you're very patient and you don't have a position, potentially wait for it to pull back in this area to add. You know, it very well might not. It depends on what the market does, of course, but I'm going to be patient. And if this does come under this level, I will add to my position one more time and see where it goes. But I'm being patient with Sphere 3D. You know, I'm not being hasty. I'm taking my time. There are a lot of opportunities right now in the market. And yes, things have kind of ran up a little bit, but still, they are considerably beaten down when you think about where things were trading. I mean, this was like $6 to $8, and it's just been downtrending ever since. Same with Bngo. Bngo was like 15, 16 bucks, downtrending all the way to like $3, and that's just the overall market. It's been this way for a lot of small caps. Small caps have definitely gotten it worse compared to large caps, and I mean, that's typically the thing. You know, large caps are typically seen as safer, so they're not going to pull back as much, whereas these small caps, there's a lot more risk potential, so this is going to cause a huger sell-off. And when the market does get euphoric, typically those small caps can run a lot because they can get more risk on, but we have to be in that type of environment, and I do think we're coming to that environment in the coming months, if not year or so. So I'm being patient, you know, and with the stock market, you want to be patient. Sometimes you don't want to be too patient, you know, saying that, oh, it'll come down more, I'm going to wait. Sometimes you just got to pull the trigger, and when you like a stock you believe in, and you like that price, then you might as well add. But take your time. Always try to keep some cash on the side. never hurts to keep some cash. And let's get into the last stock here. Haven't mentioned this one in a while, and that's going to be aqst or aquestive, and they are still expecting the FDA to approve their drug. So right here, the end of year, FDA announced that they're going to delay a lot of the FDA approvals, and this one just sold off. It's been a downtrend ever since. If you're willing to take that risk, just be aware that this is a cash burning company, just like all of these companies here. So definitely want to do your own research. These are all very risky, but you could definitely play a potential swing trade, wait for that momentum to come up, set a stop loss, let it ride. I do still have a position in this one. I'm waiting for the FDA approval. But yeah, this one, the same thing, you know, it was right around that $6 range. Couldn't break it. We found that as a resistance a few times, and then we almost popped it again, and then it was delayed. And then the earnings came out as well, and you know, the news of this, that the FDA trial still was delayed, still waiting on that. So this one's been just kind of in a downtrend. I like it where it's at. I'm more than comfortable to add. And before this run up, I was adding, I don't think I was adding at the very bottom here, but I was adding like in this zone, under this area right here. I was adding here, and then we had a nice little run. I did take some profits. Of course, I can't predict the future. I didn't take all my profits because the whole point was the FDA catalyst. So I figured, you know, trim some off the top and then potentially add. And I have slowly been adding through on this one, building out my position to its original size. But just be aware that, you know, all of these are very risky. Definitely do your own research, look into these. But if you're willing to take that risk, hey, I think these are some great choices. Some in the medical sector, some Bitcoin mining potential, you know, EV sector with Workhorse. Definitely all of these are very high risk, but there is a very high reward in my opinion with these. But thanks as always, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. I will be covering Volta's earnings today, later in the day, giving you the key points of their earnings call. And yeah, make sure you stick around for that and stay tuned. Thanks as always, guys. See you next time.